today's episode of AusMumpreneur TV, we're talking about success. Does your bank balance define your success? The lovely Anita McLachlan from online store Sequins and Sand is our guest today. Sequins and Sand is a one-stop get holiday ready shop. As a military family, change is the one constant in Anita's life, but she believes it really is possible to have a career that provides flexibility and satisfaction. Here's Georgia May.
Well, welcome, Anita.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Sequins and Sand and where the concept came from.
Sequins and Sand is really a one-stop shop where busy women, 35 plus is our target market, can buy resort wear and swimwear. So the whole premise is getting ready for a summer holiday. What will I need to go to mark the occasion in style and have a fantastic time away? It started about 7 years ago for the concept. And it really just, over a cup of coffee, couldn't find what I was looking for. I felt like I was beyond surf shops, which was where I'd come from, and the offering out there was just really frumpy and samey to me on the other end of the spectrum. So a friend of mine, Pip, and I started the business, and we went hunting for these things called caftans. And that's really how it all started and grew from there. The interesting thing is, though, so I always say now, because when we talk about what we do being retailers is selling stuff, I find people go, oh, that's nice, dear, when you kind of see this bit of a glaze over their faces. But what I've discovered on this journey is that the business I'm actually in is helping women reclaim their confidence, their beach confidence and their body confidence. The confidence to get out into a swimsuit again. For some women, 20 years, 15 years after children, after losing weight, gaining weight for whatever reason, and that's the heart of my business.
And how much thought, I mean, it's not just so easy to say I'm going to open up an online store and off we go. How much thought went into that before you actually launched, in terms of getting the products and where you got it from and what you were going to put on into that store?
I'm a bit of a jump and then see what happens kind of a person. Yeah. So it wasn't something that we researched for years before starting, nor was it something that I laid awake at night dreaming of one day having my own business. So I hate to burst the bubble there. Yeah. But really it grew out of the necessity, and it took about 12 months from that initial cup of coffee, let's do this because we can't find what we're looking for, to getting our first version of the website. And I say that because it's changed significally since day one. Yeah.
Was there a lot of, I know being an online store, and people sort of think obviously it's a cheaper option than opening up a bricks and mortar store, still had to put in a bit of money to make the business start?
Oh, absolutely. And I'd like to say now, that is a fallacy. And also is build it and they will come. That there's just so much that goes on in the background that you don't see. It's kind of like the iceberg, I think, where you see the top above the waterline, but it's all the work that goes in underneath. Yeah. It's like that. So the two of us put in $10,000 each, and half of that went to product and half of that went to infrastructure. So setting up the website, getting our graphics, our branding, setting up the company and doing all those sorts of things. So the infrastructure that supports the business day to day. And we were very frugal with our budget, and we just really thought, we'll give this 2 years or so as a bit of a pilot, and let's just see if it has legs. And if it has legs, then we'll decide whether to take it further or not.
And it had legs.
It had legs. Who knew? It had legs. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was very much while our children were younger, let's just see if there's something in this. And I believe there's no better way to do it than by doing. I'm not a great theorist. There's only so much theory, and then I think you've got to get your hands dirty and find out for yourself.
Yeah. So when was it then that you felt that the business was successful? Probably
about 3 to 4 years in, yeah. It took a while to find its feet, and I think most businesses do, and that's also something as a big takeaway. It's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of investment that goes in before you start realising, profitability, particularly when it's a retail concept. I can't speak for services when you're selling your own services, but from a purchasing stock and being seen and people purchasing and all the rest of it off you, that takes time.
Yeah.
So probably about 3 to 4 years in, and what really turned it around was when I started hitting page 1 for Google for some of my keywords, and being an online only store, that's gold. You know, that's the name of the game. So I noticed a significant rise then once we started getting some of those keywords up there.
And so how for you do you define success? I mean, a lot of people, you know, it's about the dollar sign, but what is it for you that means success?
That's a really good question. And if you'd asked me that question 10 years ago, I'd probably have a different answer to today. Being on this business journey, my definition of success has changed. At the beginning, it was more ego-driven. You know, I want my 5 minutes of fame and I want to make money. And now it's so not that. It's completely flipped. I think success for me is when all the things that you love in your life come together in harmony. And I have this vision, which I often think about, of this, you know, mad pipe organist, you know, with their back turned and not really knowing what's happening behind them, but they're just going for it and they're pushing pedals and they're pulling levers and they're trying to make this wonderful music. And I think that's what it's like, you know, you've got levers for family and levers for, you know, your own personal satisfaction and so many elements to your life. But when you get it right, the music happens and then your heart goes, yeah, that sounded good, that felt good. And to me, that's what it's about. It's that blending and balancing of all those bits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what a great way to describe it.
Money's part of it.
Yeah.
But to me, that's a resource. It's not a reason. It's an outcome. It's something that you need to fuel all of that. So I think with success, it's fueled by your passion, and it is led by your purpose. Why do you do what you do? You could do anything. Why? You're an intelligent, beautiful woman. Why do you do what you do? You know, there's a why. And then I think the other important bit around it all is that it's strengthened by your values. There are certain things that are not negotiable as far as I'm concerned, and they're the values that I treasure the most. And putting all those bits together leads me to what I do.
Yeah. Well, you're in a unique position, I guess, in that you're moving around a fair bit too. So how do you avoid the isolation, I guess, from running a business? How do you sort of stay connected to what's going on and to others? Has that been difficult?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it has. And there are some days I think, wow, you know, who have I actually spoken to today? But the business is big enough now as well, so I have people who come and help me out and work with me. So that's a friendship base. Yeah. But that's where AusMumpreneur and other organisations like that, I've relied on them for reaching out, not only for knowledge and how to do things, but to hear other women's in business stories and how can I learn from them and their experiences too. So we do it when our kids are young.
Yeah,
you know,
mothers group.
You have mothers groups,
Yeah.
so this is a business group for women, and that's been an enormous help. To be able to do a lot of that connecting to from home is fantastic. So yeah, I've relied on that a lot.
And so what has Sequins and Sand enabled, you know, what has it meant for your family? Because your husband's in the military, so he's probably often not around. What is the business provided you with? Is it that flexibility that you're after? What has it meant for you?
Yeah, personally, I had a wonderful career before I had my children, but then my life changed enormously when I had my children, and they are the world to me. So I always knew that I wanted to be a great mother, but I needed something independent of that for myself as well, and I need to be challenged in other ways. Yeah. So having the business has given me that, and it continues to challenge me. But as a family, it's wonderful because it's home-based. The children are part of it. They see it every day. Sometimes my daughter says, "You love your computer more than me, Mum." That hurts. But I guess it's because they see it.
Yeah.
Everything that I do is in front of them all the time, and they're part of all that. And that's a lovely reminder too of why I do what I do, is to be there for them, and they can be there for me and help out a little bit too. And as far as my husband's concerned, he knows that it's something that I've needed and has been a wonderful support all the way through. He's never said, "No, you can't do this," and it's been a great journey.
It works.
It works.
What is the riskiest decision you think you've made in terms of the business?
I think the riskiest decision was my business partner Pip, after a couple of years or so after we started, decided to move back to England with her family for personal reasons. And I had to decide whether to continue on or to fold. And I decided to continue on. So to me that was quite risky because I had to find the money to buy her out. And then also, you know, could I do this on my own? How was I going to do it? And again, the whole moving thing, how was I going to do it? But
you like to jump. You like to jump in.
I like to jump, and so I jumped, and you just kind of find a way. So so that was probably the riskiest thing I've ever had to do, I think.
Yeah. And so we've been talking too about you need to have stock available, but you can't sit on too much stock. How did you learn sort of what the balance is? How does all that work?
It was really important, I think, to find the right business model for your circumstance as well. So moving often and keeping my overheads down was really important starting out. So home-based was it. But it has to fit at home, and you have to negotiate that with family. So I keep enough stock so that I can fill orders immediately. And then I work with suppliers that I know I can access additional stock at short notice if I need it. And there's other arrangements that I have as well to help keep the stock level at bay. But I'm at another junction now, actually, where the business is growing again. So I need to decide, well, do I need to flip this model on its head? Is it time to get, an independent warehouse that's independent where we move and have things go to there? So there's all of that thinking that constantly goes on as your business changes. But I'm quite happy with the model that I've got, where I don't need a huge amount given the range that I sell with me. And I've got great relationships with my suppliers. Relationships are everything. So, very lucky.
And I would assume that online technology has changed a lot since you started. How was that, I guess in a positive way, how has that affected the business?
It's changed enormously. When we first started out, trying to get stock from suppliers was really quite difficult because they hadn't had the mindset shift that now it's just part of everyday life. But back then I sort of felt like I had some sort of communicable disease or something, that you want to do what? Oh no, how are you going to do that? They thought that we were going to slash and burn margins and sell really cheaply and all of that. So in the early days, not only was it hard to find the stock that we were looking for, but also to find suppliers that were willing to work with a retailer in the online space. We don't have that issue anymore. Now it's sort of like the other way. I'm more conscious of the competition, how many sites have these labels? Do we have a point of difference? And getting that blend of small and available labels that people know. So there's a bit of a mix with all of that. Technology, accessibility, things are faster. Social media, that's a whole other game now, another way to connect and engage. So it is a constant moving feast and quite fast, and to stay on top of it is a challenge.
Absolutely. So what would your advice be to other women who are looking to start a business, like yours? I mean, what's the advice of things that you've learned over the years that you could give to them?
I think just make a start. Just get your ideas down. Keep it really simple, 1 or 2 pages, and answer these questions. What is it that I want to do? and why do I want to do this? And with the what, it's really important, particularly for this is a retail perspective, but it would suffice for other businesses, I'm sure. What problem are you going to solve? So for me to say I sell resort wear, that's just the medium. You know, it's about solving the problem of, you know, I'm unhappy with this part of my body and getting me into a swimsuit is really difficult.
Yeah.
So answer that question and be really honest. And then with the why, I think it's important to really dig deep there personally. Why are you doing this? If it's for money, that's fine. Then there's a financial necessity. How much do you want? How much do you want in 12 months? How much do you want in 2 years? How much do you want in 4 years? And then work backwards. How much do I need to sell, or, you know, how much work do I need to do in order to achieve that goal? Very, very broadly. But get it down to, for every dollar I bring in, what do I pocket? I think that's a really good rule. So that's one way of keeping an eye on your profitability and where you're heading. But just make a start. I think that's often the hardest.
Just go for it.
There's a lot of free resources out to tap into as well. Like we talked about AusMumpreneur and groups like that. They offer webinars and resources where you can learn so much. Particularly when you're starting out, you've got to keep your costs down because it takes a while to fill the coffers. So that's really important. But the government, there's a lot of state government initiatives and federal government initiatives where you can, you know, learn about how to set up a business and basic accounting skills and things like that, and marketing.
Take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it, hunt it out and use it.
Absolutely. I could talk to you all day. Very interesting. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Good luck with it all, and who knows where we catch up with you again, but we know where to find you online.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to have another chat. Thanks very much.
Thank you.